Tell people what you want. Tell people what you need. Be honest about your feelings. In order to find and maintain love, you need one thing and one thing only, an absolute belief that you are lovable.
Just like a business, nothing happens by accident. So we all think, oh my God, I fell in love with them, right? Oh, it just happened. It was chemistry. Chemistry doesn't last.
So how many of you know that song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places? Because that song is such a metaphor for what happens. We come onto the planet needing love. There's no doubt about that. When we're born, we have two driving needs, and here they are. When we're born, our driving need is to survive, to make it, because our odds weren't that great not long ago. But in order to make it, you need two things. You need to find connection and avoid rejection. And not that long ago, that is how you survived. You survived by finding connection, avoiding rejection, belonging to a tribe. And it was all fairly easy. You lived in a tribe, everyone was like you were like them, you married someone that was in the tribe. And now our life has changed so dramatically because we don't need a tribe anymore. We can live in an apartment, get Uber and Amazon to deliver everything we need and never connect to anyone, and we will still make it. But we still have this terrible fear of rejection. We are hardwired and coded to dread rejection, to fear rejection, and to need to hook up. And it's great to hook up. There's another song I love which says, love makes the world go round. And that's so true. My grandmother used to say, she was immensely wise, a world without love is like food without salt. And I always loved that. I thought, yeah, that's true. You can have food without salt, but it's not quite as nice. So we want love. I love love. We all love love. But how do you find it? And this is the problem. We look for love in the wrong places. I need to find love. I'm going to go to a bar and find someone. I'm going to go to a club. I'm going to go out with hundreds of people who all look just like me and kind of meander around and try and find my perfect guy, my perfect girl, my perfect partner. And here's the problem. You can only find love that lasts if you can do one thing. To find love, you must believe you are lovable. In fact, that's the only thing you need to do to find love. Love is not to be chased. Love is not to be earned or worked for or bought or run after. And I see so many kids, 16-year-old girls, 15-year-old boys, 20-year-old people who are trying desperately to make someone love them. And it doesn't work. They go, I do everything for them. I buy them stuff. I do stuff. I'm trying to make that person see that I'm the perfect one for them. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. In order to find love, you need to do one thing and one thing only, and that is believe you are lovable. And many people, women especially, in order to believe they're lovable, will think, well, I'm going to have surgery, I'm going to have breast implants or liposuction or butt implants, or I'm going to get great makeup or wear designer clothes. And men too, I'm going to, pretend I've got this great car, I'm going to big up myself in order to make you love me. But if you have to do that, then inside you don't really feel you're lovable. In order to be lovable, nothing has to be removed from your body, nothing has to be injected in, nothing has to be waxed off or applied. In order to find love, you need one thing and one thing only, and here it is. You must believe you are lovable. You will attract love to the degree that you believe you're worth it. People say, yeah, but I don't even know, how do I even do that? So let's start right at the beginning. For all of you listening in, let's take a breath and decide, yeah, I want love. Who wouldn't want love? Love completes you. There's nothing better than having someone to wake up to and come home to. People say, I'm fine without love. And that's okay. I was too for a long time. I was a single parent. I had a very nice life. But then when I found love, it really is the icing on the cake. It makes everything so much better than it already was. Because having someone that goes, I've got it, I've got your back. For me, when my husband says to the builders, never talk to my wife, ever, go through me. For me, that's like foreplay. I don't have to talk to the builders. I don't have to deal with people. My husband intervenes. He's always got my back. And I love that. Other people say my wife. And of course, we're not gender specific. We're talking about gay people who may have a partner, a wife, a husband. People always write to me and say, why don't you include people who are not straight? But I am. Many of my dearest friends, in fact, all my daughters' godparents are gay. And I love that. So in order to find love, you must believe you're lovable. How do you do that? Well, it's actually very simple. You have to say to yourself every day, I am lovable just the way I am. I'm worthy of love. I deserve love. I have something to offer. Many people think, right, I'm going to focus on the qualities I want in my perfect person. What do they look like? What do they do? What are their values? And that's fine. But they forget to think, but what have I got to offer this perfect person? So if you're busy writing a little sheet of what you want in someone, when you finish doing that, you need to think, well, this person who I want, what qualities are they looking for in me? You know, I've worked with many women in their 40s who go, yeah, I want a really hot guy of 25. I'm like, why? Well, because I want someone really hot. I'm like, but what are you going to talk about? And if you're 45 and you have a 25-year-old boyfriend, that's cool. But when you're 65 and they're 45, it's not quite so cool. You can't forever go clubbing and you're looking at the wrong thing. You want someone hot. I get that. You need to be sexually attracted, but that's not enough. In fact, that's the fastest thing to go away. So not only look at the values you require in someone, but look at what they're looking for. And then decide that you are what they're looking for. That's the big way to feel lovable. I am what my perfect guy or perfect girl is looking for. I'm warm, I'm kind, I'm funny, I'm interesting, I'm sexy, I'm compelling. And you've got to get over this belief that, well, you know, I'm not a perfect 10, I don't have a great body, I don't look like a supermodel. You may be surprised to know that some of my unhappiest clients are supermodels. My neighbors always go, wow, I saw, these Victoria's Secret models turn up in a limo, come into your house. What's wrong with them? They've got everything. I'm like, no, they really haven't. And I could never betray my individual clients, but I can tell you right now that many of my clients or models will say, every guy I date, they diminish me. They put me down. They feel inadequate. So here's a little seesaw. Let's imagine this is a seesaw, and here's a supermodel, and here's her guy or girlfriend, whatever. And often they feel that this supermodel is up here, so it's not equal. And when you feel someone is better than you, you have two choices. Embellish yourself or diminish them. If your partner is a gorgeous, hot supermodel, it's kind of hard to embellish yourself, so your next choice is diminish them. Well, you're not very smart, you're not intelligent, you have a job that doesn't use your brains, one day your looks will fade, that's all you've got. And they're really trying to do that. So we start like this, but nobody can do that unless you let them. And you have a choice to never let them. So I've worked with many supermodels, many famous actresses who appear perfect. And people who are perfect are, in my experience, two things: unhappy and often alone. Ava Gardner, Elizabeth Taylor, Rita Hayworth, Greta Garbo, all these goddesses from the 60s and 70s, they all went into isolation, they went into seclusion, they hid themselves away because they couldn't cope with the disappointment. Bridget Bardot, probably the most sexiest woman on the planet, said, I gave the best of me to men, they all let me down. I gave what's left of me to animals, and they never disappoint me. And here is a stunningly beautiful woman who felt let down all the time. I'm only telling you that story to have you understand that being beautiful is no guarantee that you'll find love. You might attract someone, but keeping them is a whole different story. In order to find and maintain love, you need one thing and one thing only: an absolute belief that you are lovable. Now, it must be a belief. You go, I can fake that, I'll pretend. But if you pretend, people pick that up. It must be an unshakable, unwavering belief that you're lovable. So how do you do that? Well, let me tell you, because it's so easy. Look in the mirror every day and go, hey, there you are. Look at you. You are so gorgeous, so lovable, so worthy of love, so deserving of love. Don't add, yeah, but My hair's a mess. I've got fat thighs. I don't earn enough money. I don't have a home of my own. How can I bring someone back to my apartment? I share it with 3 other guys, 2 other women. I just work as a waitress. That's the problem. You start to negate your lovability with a but. When you have a baby, you never go, oh yeah, this is lovable, but this one isn't a designer baby. This one's got a funny, wonky smile, and it's not lovable. We are born knowing we are lovable. And when you know it, other people know it too. So the way to feel lovable, there are really 2 things that will massively increase your sense of being lovable and worthy of love. And when you know you're worthy, the whole world joins you, and they are looking in the mirror and going, there you are. I love you. You're looking good today. You are so lovable. Don't quantify it by what you're doing, what you're earning, because you're not your salary. You're not your job. You're not your childhood. You're not your weight, your shape, your size. You're definitely not your years. You have to expand into knowing you're lovable by looking in the mirror, going, there you are. I love you. You are lovable. Secondly, you must praise yourself a lot. I deserve love because I'm lovable. I'm a good person. I'm a kind person. I'm an amazing person. I am a lovable person. Many years ago, well, maybe not, 3 years ago, I was doing one of my RTT trainings, and up came this girl called Jillian, and she was the demonstration model to work for weight loss. And she happened to mention that she was a single parent of a teenage son, and she had a great problem attracting love because she felt she was overweight and heavy. Nobody would ever love her. And so we did a session really about her weight, but I began to add in, you're so lovable, you're warm, you're magnetic, people are so attracted to you. She was heterosexual, so I said, guys are attracted to you. They find you so warm and magnetic. And she came in the next interval, the weirdest thing happened. I took the tube home, and a guy hit on me immediately, and that's never, ever happened. I'd been at your course all day, I'd been crying, I wasn't all dressed up, my makeup was running, and he hit on me, and he asked me out. And I loved that, and she has found love since. And we had another girl on my course who always found men who diminished her. When I took her back, she went back to a scene where she was walking around the garden with her father, who was desperately ill, and she was trying to make him love her. She was saying things like, Dad, do you love me? Are you proud of me? And he kept saying, why should I be? For what? You haven't done anything. You're not as good as your sister. You're not as smart as your brother. And her father would not tell her he loved her, and he would not tell her he was proud of her, because he came from that old school of thought. If you praise someone, you spoil them. If you spoil them, you ruin them. That is complete nonsense. You never ruin someone by telling them you are lovable. So she had a block. If my own dad doesn't love me, how could I ever, ever, ever find love? And then I worked with this stunningly beautiful woman. Also couldn't find love, and that was a little shock for me because she was breathtakingly pretty. She said she walked into a room once and the drummer dropped his drumsticks because that's the effect she had on people, and yet she never got second dates. Guys would take her out, intimidated by her beauty, and then nothing happened. And when I was talking to her, she said, my dad used to say the same thing every day from the minute I was born. Nobody will ever, ever, ever love you like me. You will never find a man to love you like I love you. You couldn't find anyone to love you like me. And without meaning to, he programmed her to believe that. And I remembered that story so well because many years later, my best friend and I had babies almost at the same time, and we were both feeding our babies. I'd gone to visit her in Newcastle with my baby. She had hers. And she started to say to her little baby, you'll never find anyone to love you like me. And I said, don't say that. I don't want to interfere, but never say that to your child. Because what are you saying? You will never find anyone to love you like me? No. You need to say this to your child. I love you so much because you are so lovable. And all your life you'll find people to love you as much as I do, even more than I do, because you are lovable. That's the way you program a child. And many parents, without meaning to, say, I love you because you're beautiful. I love you because you're smart. I love you because you're good, kind, helpful, interesting, intelligent. And you know what the child hears? And if I wasn't, you wouldn't. You love me because I'm pretty, I'm good, I'm smart, I get great grades. And those people grow up believing they've got to earn love by being good, smart, intelligent. And that's the wrong message. When someone loves you because you pay for everything, or you've got a great body, or you're always doing all the chores, the feeling is that when I stop this, you won't love me anymore. I've worked with so many women who can't get pregnant and go, yeah, but my husband loves my body. And he always says, I love your body. Oh my God, you got the best body. I fell in love with your body. I'm like, really? What about my mind? What's going to happen when I'm pregnant or I've got the flu? And guys don't mean it. Women don't mean it. They go, I love you because you've given me such a great lifestyle. But people hear that. I love my guy because he's so smart and he's got this amazing career. And one of my clients picked up his briefcase and went to work every day and didn't even tell his wife that he'd got the sack because he was terrified she wouldn't love him anymore. And then he became so ill, he actually couldn't go to work. And then she believed that he'd been laid off because he was sick. He could never tell her the truth because he had a belief. You love me because. So it's great to make the best of yourself. Of course you want to have a fit body, a career that you love, but you need to be loved by you. So let me help you right now all believe you're lovable. I want you to take a minute. I want you to imagine if you had the best parents in the whole world that were absolutely trained to make you feel lovable. Imagine your parents have gone to school and they've learned how to be a great parent. It's a pity we don't actually go to school and learn that because it's really important. If they had got a degree in being a great parent, what would they say to you on a daily basis? You know what it is because we all want to hear the same thing. I love you because you're you. Don't quantify it. A great parent goes, I love you because you're you. I'm proud of you because you're you. I love being your parent. How lucky am I to have you? Being your parent is a great job. It's a gift to be your parent. I love raising you. I love being around you. You're interesting, you're funny, you're cute, you're compelling. Not super smart. You might notice I never said beautiful. So imagine if your parents had said the words you've always wanted to hear. It's what I call the missing bit in you, the words you've never heard. Take a minute now and think about what you would have loved to hear. For me, I wanted my parents to say you're the favorite. They never did. But I wanted to hear that because I wasn't the favorite. I knew I wasn't the favorite very early on. My brother was the firstborn and he was very smart. He went to private school. I didn't because I wasn't smart. My sister also went to private school and she was a cute, pretty one and I was just this blob in the middle. I don't feel like that now and I'm not blaming my parents, but in my perspective, I wanted to hear you're my favorite because I knew I was very far from the favorite. So I began to say it to myself. You're the favorite. You're the favorite child. You're the one that your parents are most proud of. You know what happened? It was the weirdest thing. I became the favorite. It just happened almost in weeks. I had a book published. I went to visit my parents and my brother and sister were there. We would all take our kids on like Easter and Christmas, and I think it was Easter. And it was the weirdest thing because my parents both honed in on me like a laser and went, oh my God, we're so proud of you. You know, your book is everywhere. You're on the news. You know what's even weirder? I didn't really like it that much. I thought this is so rude to my brother and sister and their children. But it was so interesting that I said it and it became true. Because when you say something over and over again, it becomes true, which is why you must never go, who's going to love me? I've got cellulite. Who's going to love me? I don't have a great job. Who's going to love me? I've got 3 kids, no money. I'm not a model. I'm not a rock star. I'm not a superstar. When you say that, it's true. When you go, I'm so lovable. I got a lovable heart, I'm kind, I'm warm. Because what people look for in a relationship is warmth, kindness, humor, intelligence, somebody that can make you laugh, someone that has got your back, that will support you. No matter how hot you might want to be, that may make someone interested in you. It will not make them stay with you. Look, Princess Diana got left for Camilla. If you don't believe me, look at that. There are many gorgeous women who get dumped, many gorgeous men who get dumped. And they get dumped for someone who is warm or caring or funny or interesting. So let's go back. What did you most want to hear? I want you to say it now. Don't think, I'll do this after this webinar's over. No, you're going to do it now. He who hesitates is lost. So we'll all do it together. I want you to repeat after me. I love you. I'm so proud of you. You're the best kid ever. I love you so much. And all your life you're going to find love. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're you. And all your life you will find love because I love you. And even if your parents didn't love you, never celebrated you, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. But it's never too late to go back and put in the missing bit. I love you. Let's do it again. I want you to say it out loud. Even if it feels silly, cheesy, embarrassing, and completely fake, I don't care. Let's say it together. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're mine. You're amazing. I love you because you're you. And all your life you're going to find people who love you because you're you, because you're lovable. You know, in that Bridget Jones movie when he said, I love you just the way you are, and that Barry White song. And Billy Joel, don't go changing to try to please me. I love you just the way you are. So you have to look in the mirror and go, I love you just the way you are. Sing that song because you're sending a message to yourself. I love you just the way you are, and so will everyone else. And then you'll find your perfect person. I know this to work because I have an audio code, Finding and Attracting Love. And people write to me and go, well, it was the weirdest thing. I bought that audio and something so bizarre happened. I went to the store. I go to the store every week, wheeling my little car. And this girl came up and went, this is really weird, but I have an overwhelming need to talk to you. There's just something magnetic about you. And someone said, they said, I was in the store and this guy hit on me. We had a coffee. It was a bit weird and we're still together. So what else? I was coming out of my apartment and I met this guy. He lived next door. He'd lived next door for years. I'd never seen him. He'd never seen me. And we collided like that and we're still together. And I know it's because I felt lovable. The day my husband asked me to marry him, the next day I had to go to Spain. I flew to Spain every week. I was working at a boot camp, helping very rich Arab princesses lose weight. And I was going through security, and I left, and this guy ran after me and went, hey, I think you left this bit of paper behind. And obviously I didn't. And he was hitting on me so hard. And I went to Spain every time. That never happened to me until the day I got engaged. I must have been radiating this, oh my God, I'm so lovable, I'm getting married, this is amazing. Because my attractability factor must have shot up. Nothing changed except my feeling, someone wants to marry me, I'm so lovable, he's completely in love with me, with who I am. I had a broken arm at the time, and I couldn't put on any makeup. But this guy was hitting on me because I was radiating lovability. People say, it's so weird. I was in a relationship wasteland, no love, no guy, no girl, nothing. And then I met someone, and how ironic. The next month, 3 different people hit on me. That's what happens when you know you're lovable. Women will say, I was with this awful guy, he didn't treat me very well. Or men will say, I was with this woman or partner that hurt me. And then I got over them. And I met someone who the day I got over them, they called me and went, I'm thinking about it. I'd like to get back together. It's like, sorry, too late. I've moved on. So when you know you're lovable, other people know it too. If you want to find love, please believe me. You only have to do one thing. No designer clothes are required. No waxing, no contouring, no blow drying is required. No faking or bigging up yourself or pretending you're something you're not. Just go out in the world knowing you are lovable. Fake it until you make it. But if you fake it enough, it becomes real, because here's a rule of the mind. Here's about 3. Your mind learns by repetition. It believes everything you tell it. You must act in a way that is utterly consistent with the way you define yourself, and every word you say and every thought you think is a blueprint that you must work towards. Marilyn Monroe was such an example of someone who looked out there. She believed, if I become rich and famous and beautiful, then surely I'll feel lovable. Fame, riches, validation. We look out there to feel good about ourselves. But even if out there loves you, it doesn't really work, because you have to look in here. You have to fall in love with yourself.
Norma Jean, you're gonna keep daydreaming, or are you gonna help me here?
I want to help Mama.
No. I'm not your mama. You mustn't call me that. You can call me Aunt Ida.
Yes, Aunt Ida.
At 2 weeks old, Marilyn was put into foster care. Her mother wasn't able to raise her and didn't actually even want to. She had issues of her own. So Marilyn spent her early years with a very nice foster mother, and they go to the park and she'd see children playing.
There's a Mama, and there's a Mama, and there's a Mama. But I haven't gotten a Mama.
Oh, Norma Jean, your mama wishes she could be with you, but you can't.
And Marilyn knew immediately, I don't have a mama. I'm not like all the other kids. So when Marilyn was still Norma Jean, she had already got a very established belief. I'm not lovable enough. I'll never have what other people have.
Now, all right, look. If you're so anxious to go out with girls, why don't you pick out some nice girl like Connie Haynes here?
Connie won't go out with me.
Yes, I will, Mr. Costello.
Yes, I would, Mr. Costello. I had a fight with my family tonight, and I want to disgrace them.
Norma Jean!
Tell you, Abbott, there's no use.
What are you doing? You need to get ready for school.
I'm practicing. I want to be in the pictures.
What on earth would you want to do that for?
Because if you're in the pictures, you're famous. When you're famous, everyone will love you.
So Marilyn had so many qualities that made the world fall in love with her. She was immensely talented, and fame followed her. She courted fame, she went after fame, and then fame went after her. So Marilyn came from nowhere and achieved what so many people want. She achieved that great balance of women wanted to be her and men wanted to be with her. But because she didn't believe that she was enough, she found herself drawn to relationships with men that didn't value her. Marilyn's husband, Joe DiMaggio, wanted to possess her completely, but she was a sex symbol. And so she found herself in romantic roles with other men, and this eventually tore.
Marilyn, I think we did enough for today. I'll see you at the studio tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks, Joe. Bye, Marilyn.
What the hell was that?
Well, it's nothing, Joe. He's just my instructor.
Well, you're my wife. Don't forget it.
Even when she married her final husband, Arthur Miller, she was already planning the divorce. She knew it wouldn't work, and that was amazing to people that on her wedding day, she was already telling people how long it would last. No matter how you try to show someone that you're lovable, people can pick up when you don't love yourself. It's why so many beautiful women and beautiful men appear to get left when they seem to have it all. And if you haven't got self-esteem, no amount of love from another person or beauty or accolades is going to give you self-esteem if you can't give it to yourself. So Marilyn's life as a cautionary tale is an interesting tale. We can only learn from people like Marilyn and go, wow, I can see exactly where her thinking went wrong. Can you see where your thinking might also be going wrong? Because if you can see where you're going wrong, then you can see how to put it right. Fall in love with yourself. It sounds hard. It's easy. How do I do that here? You say, well, look in the mirror and go, hey, there you go. look at you, you're lovable. Rebel Wilson, Amy Mullins, Chantal Brown Young, Madeline Stewart, and so many others are showing us the truth. You do not have to be perfect to be loved.
And I've always had a belief, and I still believe it passionately, that for a relationship to work, you have to have best friend chemistry, sexual chemistry, and you have to respect and admire that other person. And they both said, no, you don't need best friend chemistry.
Whoa.
And I thought that was very odd, because I didn't say your husband's got to come to the nail bar with you or come to the hair salon or even go shopping. I never want to go shopping. But my husband's got a shopping radar. After an hour, he says, let's go out shopping. And first we have lunch. And he goes, oh, let's go home. And I'm like, where's the shopping? He went, oh, no, I've only got an hour. I said, well, no, we're not having lunch anymore. And now I say, I'm not shopping with you. But I really believe that you must have best friend chemistry. I have wonderful best friends, but he's definitely one of them. And I was surprised that people said, no, your husband shouldn't be your best friend. I think he should at least be one of them. But I want to ask you on these three things: best friend chemistry, sexual chemistry, and deep respect and admiration. Because every couple I know that is phenomenal, and I've studied them for years, all have those three things. Not constantly, there are times when you don't have sexual chemistry. You've got the flu, something's going on, but I think you must have all of those. But I want to ask you, do you have them? And do you believe that they're all equally important?
1,000%. 1,000%. If you don't like hanging out with your partner, you're kind of screwed. Like, and I hear what you're saying as well. I have other friends that fit and feel a certain part of me that my husband doesn't feel. I'm not expecting my husband to feel all parts of my personality. He doesn't like watching The Real Housewives. I freaking love watching The Real Housewives. So I have a bunch of friends where we may, have an alcoholic beverage or, a joint, and we just giggle and watch Housewives. And it's like, but I don't think that makes a difference on my relationship with my husband, or it doesn't demean my relationship with my husband. It's just a different part. But if I was stranded on a desert island, he's the one I pick, period. And if it would worry me, and it's just me, like, I don't necessarily think other people have to do this, but it would worry me if you don't choose your partner.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing. I took my husband to yoga twice. I decided not to take him. We couldn't quite get it. But same thing. If I was in trouble, he is my best friend. When I was ill once upon a time, he was the person, because that's the great thing about when someone's got your back and you've got their back. So I'm very pleased that you see Tom as your best friend. And of course you have sexual chemistry. You also respect him. But here's something else. People think with power couples that we call it in England living over the shop. So you probably know that expression. It really means you live over the shop, you wake up and you go and work in the shop, then you go back to the apartment, and you're never away from each other. And don't you drive yourself crazy because you're always together. My husband and I have the same business. And for us, it's amazing. We're really never apart. We travel together, we work together. Occasionally I open my eyes and he goes, babe, I've got a great idea. I'm like, can I just wake up? Can I just not have to talk about business the minute I open my eyes? But on the whole, I love his enthusiasm. But tell me what it's like for you two, because you live together, you work together, you run a business together. So you're always really, I know you said that when you're together, you switch off the phone, but what's it like when you live together and run a business together? Because it is a constant thing. How is that for you, and how do you make that work?
Yeah, we have very strict rules, and we identify our weaknesses and our strengths. So Tom is very bad at noticing if we haven't, let's say, connected or even a date, right? He's just very bad at that. I don't take that personally. It's just his personality. He's not very good at pattern recognition in that way. And so we sat there and he's like, babe, I'm terrible at pattern recognition. Because I'd be like, babe, we haven't had a date in like 2 weeks. And he's like, haven't we? And at first I was like, don't you care? What do you mean? Does that mean that you don't think that, like, for the last 2 weeks you haven't been wanting to spend time with me? And it just derails on emotion. And so we just sat down and thought, okay, what's my strengths? What's his strengths? So my strength is I'm the one who's very good at noticing if we are starting to, drift apart a little. So I'm the one that is responsible for putting date nights in his calendars. I'm the one that's responsible to figure out what we're doing on the date night. And we just agreed. And so because I know him, I don't take that personally. So there's certain things like that. Next thing is, where's that fine line between when you're working and when you're not? Because we both have different habits, right? I like working slightly later. He likes working at 3 a.m. Like he gets up at 3 a.m. That's how early he starts. So we just put rules in place. Okay, when I'm done working, babe, what I'll do is I'll switch a light on. So this is actually one thing I had doing for a while. I had the lamp next to me, and he was working from the moment he woke up to the moment he went to bed. Because I suffer from health issues, I had to make sure that I was always being able to switch off and have time for myself. But he would come in still in work mode, and I'd be switched off. But because you work from home, you can't tell when someone's working or not working, especially because I had a bad habit as well. I was working in bed, I was working on the sofa, like all of those bad habits. So eventually I was like, all right, I need a signal to tell you I've switched off for the night. And it was a lamp. And so what he would do is he would come in the room with like a work question, and he'd see the lamp and he would go like, love you, babe. And then he'd walk back out. And so we just had those pillars in place. We have weekly meetings twice a week, me and him, it's for a very specific amount of time. We have very structured meetings about what that is going to be about. We have it structured so that it's like dressing tests that we're doing in our company, addressing anything, marketing issues. And we have a structure. So it can't become personal. It can't become, I'm sitting with my husband. It's no, I'm sitting with my business partner. And then the final one, which was hard to come to, but once we did, it changed everything. You can't have 2 CEOs in a company. I'm just going to say you can't, because the second you butt heads, who makes the final decision? You're kind of screwed. So we went in saying, babe, we both understand this could hurt our company if we put ourselves as both CEOs. And so we go back to goals. What's our goal? To build a successful business. Okay, what can get in the way of that? Us butting heads and being paralyzed with decisions. So together we said, okay, if we're both CEOs, we agree that's a bad strategy. Yes, we both agree. Okay, so one person has to be CEO. Do we agree on that? Yes, we both agree. One person has to be CEO. And so we're like, who's the better person for the job? Like, not emotional, just who's actually better with the skill sets that are going to be needed for CEO. And we both agreed it was Tom. Like, I have no ego in that.
That's so good that you both agreed, because I can hear women going, oh, you see, you went right back to that. You let him be the boss, but you didn't. You both decided. Yeah.
And the reason why is it's a selfish decision for me. Like, I'm doing it selfishly because I know it's better for the business. Like, forget about your emotions and your ego. What are the skill sets that a CEO needs, and who is better with those skill sets? And my husband's been doing it for longer. I am much more of like, I bring the team together. Like, I'm kind of a bit of more of a nurturer. And I like that. It's not a like, oh my God, you're being stereotypical. It's like, no, I'm better at it. He's not good at that. I am. So we just go, we both have the goal. We want the company to succeed. So what is better? So I was absolutely unemotionally going, oh, babe, of course you should be. And then when we started to sign the papers, it was quite funny because Tom was like, it should be 50-50. And I was like, well, babe, I actually don't think it should be. You do bring more weight to the table. Like, it's not a freaking ego thing. You do. You're willing to work from 3 a.m. until 10 p.m. at night. Because of my health, I'm not willing to do that. So I just look at the real world scenarios and go, there is a world where I don't want to be, the CEO of Impact Theory. I may want to, I do Women of Impact, so I may want to build that into its own entity. And so I just remove emotion. And from removing emotion, we come to these conclusions. And so I was like, well, no, I actually think you should do 51%. And it was quite funny because the lawyer's like, I've never heard couples argue over this type of equality. Usually it's the man says, I want 51%. And the woman's like, okay, like they kind of relinquish. And I'm like, no, it does. Like, in a business, I get it. And so, but my husband was very adamant. He's like, there is no freaking way on the universe I'm doing 51% because I need you to know emotionally that we are equal. even though if we came to a head, someone needs that final say. In this company, you have just as much right as I do. And so we just came to those conclusions. And in going on 4 years with the company, we've disagreed so much twice. And both in those situations, he turned around to me and he said, I've heard you, baby. I'm not convinced. We're going this way. And we've agreed on words to then say. So in response, I say, I disagree, but I commit. And we make sure we say those words out loud.
Because you don't bear a grudge, which is really important. I mean, I'm very lucky because in my business, my husband used to own a whole comedy chain called Jongleurs. He had 22 clubs. And he always said, I know how to manage talent. So he's always seen me as the talent and him as the marketer. And we're very lucky because I turn up and teach my method when he couldn't possibly do the content of that. But he's such a genius at marketing. So we're very lucky that. But then he'll say to me, look, you have to let me make all the marketing decisions, and he has to let me make all the content decisions. And actually, we're incredibly lucky because I couldn't do it without him. He couldn't do it without me. So it kind of works. It's that occasionally, of course, there are arguments, but it works itself out. And then rather like you, I have to, when we go to dinner, go, okay, I don't want to talk about work tonight. My husband, he's up at 5, a bit like Tom, and because he like the Energizer Bunny, he can go all night and still be working. And I'm like, no, I have to have a cutoff time. And sometimes the cutoff time cuts off, but then we need to not talk about work all weekend or all evening. So the other question I used to get a lot when I used to have an advice column for Cosmo and Closer, and people would say, when you run a business, how do you switch the business off and become lovers? Surely if you're around a table talking business, your sex desire goes out the window because you're not lovers anymore. Now, I don't find that to be true at all, but I'd love, if you don't mind, you don't have to tell me anything too revealing, but you can if you want to. How do you keep that sexual passion going when you are working together all day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this may not work for everybody, but it works for us. We're just so logistically honest and open about things. So it's like, okay, well, typically, are we in the mood from Monday to Friday? Not really, because we're usually exhausted. Okay, but Friday nights is when the weekend starts. So it's just like, okay, if one of us, we're not typically, like sexually driven during the week. And that's just the honest truth. I personally don't know how to switch from being on all day in business with a certain mindset where I have to drive the team forward. I'm talking to Tom not like a wife. I'm calling him out on shit. He's calling me out on shit. So you don't have that chemistry in your body. And so to me, I can't just flip the switch. I can't just go, all right, a second ago I was in business mode and now I'm, this horny being. Like I wish I could. And if anyone out there has a trick, I'm all for it. But I just can't. And instead of fighting it, we've just owned it. And we're like, okay, Friday night for us is when it starts, right? It's like the foreplay, if you will. We have all weekend. We've got time to forget. I switch my phone off now. I've been doing that for about 2 months. On the weekend, you cannot reach me. My phone is off, period. And if there's an emergency, you contact Tom. If you don't have Tom's phone number, then it means you're not close enough to me for it to be an emergency that I have to react in that moment. And so we've made rules like that. So on the weekend, it becomes we play. We play together. We play video games together. We swim together. We giggle together. We watch funny movies together. We watch silly videos together. And for us, that is the foreplay. And so we just allow then, 2.5 days of space to connect again when it's not connected to work. And so again, we've just been very honest and open instead of feeling like, oh my God, should we be having sex on a Tuesday? Like, does this mean something's wrong with our relationship? It's like, no, neither of us have the energy. So why force it? Because once you start forcing it, then it becomes something that maybe you don't look forward to, which neither of us want. You don't want that in a relationship. So we basically spend 2.5, 3 days really freaking connecting, and the other days we don't.
Yeah.
Sexually, that
You
is.
schedule it, which is actually very smart. It's a very smart thing to schedule sex and to have signals like, okay, at the weekend I dress differently.
Right.
Yeah, we
Thank
do.
you for adding that. Yeah.
The dressing is one of my clients said, I always know my husband wants to have sex because he comes out of the bathroom without his pajama bottoms on. Such a turn off. It's like, oh my God, how unsubtle could you be? I don't like that. But you're right, you have to schedule and signal. It's the weekend now, it's the Sunday morning, it's the Saturday. And it's very important to do little things like maybe you light candles, maybe you put on romantic music, maybe you do different things. We clear all the computers out of the bedroom. And I think it's good to do the scheduling. After all animals respond to a signal. They know when the female wants to have sex because she's on heat and it signals, oh, she's ready. And in a long marriage, how long have you been, Tom, been together, is it?
We've been together for almost 20 years. We've been married for 18.
So in 20 years, it's about sending the right signals. And people really believe that it's very hard after 20 years to have a passionate sex life. I can tell you it's not hard at all, but you have to prioritize it. It's not like, oh, we get into bed and maybe we should have sex. It's still about making it a priority, making it important. And the way you make it important is to go, hey, Saturday night is our night, or Sunday morning, or Friday night. And that doesn't take the romance out of it. In fact, it puts the romance in. It says, I think enough of you. I've made this sacred time. And on a Saturday night, it's always the sheets are changed, the candles are lit, everything's out of the bedroom, the computers are gone, and I'm going to come in my high heels or whatever it is, I'm my purple underwear. I'm making an effort for you, but you're also making an effort for me because your phone is off and your head is now switched on to me. And a lot of people say, but that's an effort, isn't it? I'm like, of course, but aren't you worth the effort for both of you? So I'm glad that you think that. And I think a lot of women get very confused about, well, if I have to make an effort, that's not quite the same thing. But what would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing I've actually really struggled with for a long time, because even when I first met Tom, I was like, of course a relationship's effort. Like, why do you look at a business and people go, oh my God, okay, to create a good business, you have to grind, you have to really work hard, you have to put time, effort, energy, sacrifice into it. But we don't look at the same on other things, like with, with our partners or being a parent. Like if I decided I was going to have a kid, I would read every freaking book under the sun about how to be a parent. I would start putting like scheduling in. Okay, now it's going to be time for me and little Tom. Like I would be so conscious about my efforts towards it, because just like a business, nothing happens by accident. So we all think, oh my God, I fell in love with them, right? Oh, it just happened. It was chemistry. Chemistry doesn't last. What is it, like 18 months or something that you have the same spark as you do? 2 years, yeah. Of when you like the cocaine-like experience. And so instead of trying to pretend that doesn't exist, I go, okay, great. Now I understand what's happening to myself. I understand what's happening to my husband's chemistry. I know that for that first 2 years, we were both high on cocaine, in essence, right? Of like our chemistry. It's like the equivalent if you do a brain scan. It's literally the same as being on cocaine. And just like people, when they have alcohol or drugs, it's like you never have that same amount. You always try to have more to get to that same high. And I think that's what happens in relationships. People think that it's just going to happen because initially it did. And then they're like, but I'm not feeling it anymore. I don't know what to do with this. And they start looking for other partners because they're searching for that high, because they don't know how to get it how to get it with their partner. And so I just face reality. I understand. I've read a book called The Female Brain. There's a book called The Male Brain. Understand the differences and how we function. And then after 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years, say, what phase are we in now? And what are the things that we both need to do? Like, I never would have scheduled sex day, in the first 2 years of our relationship, but I understand what is needed in order to have connection with your partner. And 18 years later, that means being very aware, scheduling, putting in hard work and energy. And I even said earlier, my highest priority is my husband. So why wouldn't I put more effort into that relationship than I do in my business?
And something I discovered from having this advice column is that never ever threaten to leave. Even if you want to, people whose relationship, never ever go, I'll leave if you do that. I'm off if you do that. If that happens again, I'm going. There are times when you want to say it, but you must never, ever, ever threaten to leave a relationship. And if you go into it together and listen, we are together till the end. We're together for the long haul, no matter what goes on, we work it out. If you make that decision and remember, I feel like threatening it, but I'm not going to, because that's the worst thing you can do, threaten it. As a parent, you never say to your kid, if you make a mess in your room, I'm off. But people threaten to leave. And the minute you do that, you chip away at that relationship. And the worst thing is when you don't even mean it and you say it. And I've said that to so many people I'm counseling, don't threaten to leave if you don't mean it. Oh, I didn't mean it. Well, why did you say it then? Because the other person thinks you must mean it. And how would you feel if they kept threatening to leave? And of course, as you say, you really value your marriage above everything, even above your business. And you should, because you can probably get another business. And your business ends one day, but your relationship goes on. And the person you wake up with, go to sleep with, come home to, is actually more important than your business.
So here's the biggest mistake we make. We expect our partner to be psychic, to be a clairvoyant, to know what we're feeling, to know what we're thinking, and to know what we need. And I see many people do this. What's wrong? Nothing? You seem a bit upset. Nope, I'm fine. Everything in your body language is saying, I'm upset, but you expect your partner to know why you're upset when you haven't even told them. And when you're in a heterosexual relationship, it's even more confusing because men expect their female partner to act like a guy, and women often expect the male to act like a female. You know, one of my clients came in and said, I can never make my wife happy. I come in at the end of the day and she starts to tell me what's happened. The dog was sick, the daughter forgot her lunchbox, the boss, and he goes, oh, well, what I would have done then is, you know, you need to have that lunchbox by the front door. You need to explain to your boss. And she said, I don't want that. Why does he keep trying to fix it when I just want him to hear? And I said, you know what? You got to become her best girlfriend. You got to say things like this, oh, I hate that for you. He said, really? I said, yeah. She is looking to know that you have heard her. So when she gives the list, the dog ran away, the daughter forgot the lunchbox, her boss at work was so mean, don't offer solutions, become her best girlfriend. Go, baby, I hate that for you. That's horrible. And he said, wow. Came back and said, I never knew it. Just going, oh, becoming like a girlfriend to my wife. It's amazing. Some of you might say, well, I'm never going to do that. But for him, it really worked. You know, I had a situation many years ago. My father was ill. He'd had a surgery and he nearly died under anesthetic, so they had to do it again. And there was a big chance he wouldn't survive. And I had to call him and effectively say goodbye to him. And I was psyching myself for this call and I was very emotional. And then when I picked up the phone, my then partner just left and went to play golf. I'm like, wow, he is not my partner anymore. I'm feeling vulnerable, sad and emotional. And his response is to go and play golf. What a cold, mean, horrible, nasty person. When he came back, I said, how could you do that? He went, oh, I thought you'd really appreciate being left alone, because me, if I was about to have that conversation with my dad and I'd be tearful as a man, I wouldn't want anyone around. So I left you as an act of kindness to cope with your grief without being humiliated. So you see what went on there? He did what a man would do, and I wanted to do what a girl would do. And there's a disconnect. And in all of these disconnections, go, he doesn't care, she doesn't care, they don't care, when really they're doing what they think you want them to do, or what they would like you to do to them. And I see that in sex a lot. Women say, I want you to stroke my hair and stroke my men are like, just grab me in the crotch. That's what I really want. So I'll just grab you in the crotch. And we're like, what? that's not what I want. Where's my seduction? But you have to come at it, even in same-sex relationships. So my husband told me, darling, I could only shop for 2 hours. I'm like, great, 2 hours, that's good. So we go to a shop and he said, let's have lunch first. We have lunch. Then he goes, okay, got 30 minutes left to shop. I'm like, no, that's not right. I thought we had 2 hours of shopping. No, we have 2 hours. Park the car, go for lunch, and whatever time is left is to shop. So now I went, right, we'll do that. We're going to shop first now. And when we finish shopping, we go, oh, look, we've got 15 minutes for lunch, but that's our deal. So we just have to constantly explain. I love it when my husband goes out for the whole evening because I love time to myself. He'll go out and I've just got my box set. I'm on the phone to my girlfriends. He comes back. I thought I'd come back early. I'm like, no, I was just getting my whole evening started. He loves company, doesn't ever like to be alone. I love being alone sometimes. So I have to explain to him, when you're out, please don't come back early for me. Come back early for you. I love the whole evening to myself. So the first thing is to understand, is your partner doing what they think you want them to do? Because that's what they want you to do to them. The second is to not think, well, if they are doing that, they're doing it to hurt me. They've forgotten my birthday, they don't care. They bought me a really cheap gift and that's all I mean to them. They're not celebrating the way I want to celebrate. And the only way you can get this mistake to go away is to really set up a dialogue. Okay, we're together, my birthday is really important. If you say we have an hour together to talk and you're looking at your phone or scrolling through your emails, that's not an hour together. If you say we're going out or you're cooking dinner to have a lovely evening, leave all the dishes everywhere and go to bed and don't do anything, it doesn't work. I said to my husband one day, you know, when we're downstairs, occasionally I'm going to bed and you just get up and go to bed. And then I have to lock all the doors and windows and I don't feel protected. I want you to always lock up so I feel you're concerned about my safety. He loved that. He's like a man protecting me. Now every night he checks all the doors. And because I told him nicely, baby, when you just get off the sofa and go to bed, I don't feel cared about. You leave me to lock all the doors. But I said it in a nice way. And now he understands it's not important to him, very important to me. So sit down with your partner and talk. Because you know what I see happen? People go, he's not the right person. She's not the right person. They don't meet my needs. They don't know what I want. They don't understand. You know what they do? Upgrade them. Swipe left. Get someone new. We get rid of people like we get rid of our phone. And it's so easy to start again. But all my clients that do that say, you know what happened? I got a new partner and the same problems happened with a new one. They were just as bad as the last one, just as unthinking, just as uncaring, just as insensitive. And I'm like, oh, do you think there's a pattern here? Do you know for most people, not all, but for most, it's actually easier to make an existing relationship better, to make an existing relationship work than to go for a new one and take the same problems, the same belief that they're clever and that the right person knows what to do in bed, knows what you want to eat. And sometimes people do things that they think are really okay, and they go out and buy you weird underwear you'd never wear, perfume that you think is disgusting, chocolates when you're on a diet. They bring home pizza when you're starving yourself, and you go, this person doesn't care. But they don't understand. You know, I had the funniest experience. I had to have a hysterectomy 5 years ago. My husband turned up the next morning with my laptop and said, I thought you might want to answer emails. I'm like, are you serious? I just had major surgery. In fact, I went home that day. I felt great. And I did laugh that he brought my laptop in because he thought I might want to work. He knows how much I'm always on my computer, always answering emails, but not that day. But you know what? If he'd had surgery, he would be on his laptop, probably an hour later, because he loves working. But you see, I had to realize he wasn't trying to hurt me. It wasn't offensive. He truly thought it would give me immense pleasure to open my laptop and start answering emails. One of my clients did that an hour after she gave birth. She answered emails because she wanted that. I can't think of anything worse than that. So please don't make this mistake. Early in a relationship, don't pretend I like what you like. Don't say, oh, I'll keep that to myself. Tell people what you want. I never forget seeing a client once, and he said, you know, I dated this girl last month, and she sent me a message, and she said, you didn't try hard enough in bed. I don't want to see you again. He said, what a woman. I'm seeing her again. She really put me in my place. He said, I like that. She's going to make me work so hard. Most women would think, I could never write to her and go, hey, you didn't try hard enough in bed. You're toast. But she did, and he loved that because she told him what she needed, more effort in bed, more courtesy to her, and make it all about her. And he found that so sexy and a challenge he was absolutely going to meet. Many women think, oh, I better not say what I want. I don't want to be seen as difficult. I don't want to be seen as demanding. Why don't I pretend that I'm so easily pleased and I'll make you happy? It doesn't work, even early on. Tell them what your needs are. Tell them what your desires are. And if you think, you know, my partner's forgetting it's my birthday, they're not mentioning it, they're going to forget my birthday because they don't care. Why don't you change and go, hey, you know what? They love me. They want to celebrate my birthday. I'm going to tell them, hey, it's my birthday next Thursday. I know you want to do something amazing, so let me give you some ideas of what I want. A few years ago, I realized my daughter didn't remember my birthday. She was talking about Wednesday, which was my birthday, and I could have thought, right, she's going to forget. I'm going to let her forget and then tell her off and go, you didn't even remember my birthday, and create so much drama. Instead, I took a breath and I said, it's my birthday on Wednesday. She went, oh yeah, of course it is. What shall we do? And we had a great day because I pulled back from, you've forgotten, let me sit this out, and then let me go after you with hurt and anger and disappointment. It was easier just to tell her. So please don't do that. We've all done it. Tell people what you want. Tell people what you need. Be honest about your feelings. When someone disappoints you, say, you know, I'm disappointed. I was upset. I was hurt by. Don't say you made me feel unimportant. You forgot. You didn't. When you are always late to pick me up, I know you don't care about me. Rather than, I know you care about me, and if you could just pick me up on time, I would feel even more cared about. I could have said to my husband, when you go to bed and don't even lock the door, you don't care about me. I said, I know you care about me, and you can show me how much you care about my safety by always locking the doors before you go to bed. He does. So try starting from that. I know you care about me. I know you want to make this work. I know you're invested in both of us being happy. This is what I need. Share your needs, share your wants, share your desires. And remember, your partner is not psychic, is not clairvoyant, and they're only going to know what you want and need when you tell them. After all, if you said to a friend or a child, hey, what do you want for your birthday? And they go, well, what I really want is that Game Boy, or that I'd love to go to a theme park, I'd love to go shopping, I'd love to go for lunch. You give them what they want. It doesn't make the day worse. I say to my daughter every year, what do you want for your birthday? And she tells me, and I provide it. And it's better because I know what she wants. I say to my husband, what do you want? He wants a book, just a book. If he bought me just a book on my birthday, it would not be a happy day, but he knows. I don't have the same desire you have. For me, birthdays are a big deal. Christmases are a big deal. It's not the thought that counts, because I don't want a book. I'd like flowers. I'm going to tell you what I want. And here's where the thought that counts really goes wrong. Many people think, I buy my partner a washing machine. She said she wants one. I buy her a sewing machine. I buy her a vacuum cleaner. Domestic appliances are not gifts for Christmas or birthday. One of my clients bought his wife a subscription to the sports channel, saying, you know, I thought you might find some yoga classes on there. She's like, no, 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 you're going to find lots of football. That's not a gift that I want. You can have that gift, but you still need to get me a gift. So the thought counts when you think what your wife would really want or your husband would really want, and don't make it any kind of domestic appliance. Unless they've told you, I would love a lawnmower for Christmas. If they haven't told you that, don't get them a power washer unless you know they really want one, especially for women. Appliances are work, they're not gifts. Unless they say, I'd love that dishwasher for Christmas, don't even go there. Hey, this is Marissa, and I see so many people who are looking for the fairy tale, who've been influenced by Disney, and they're looking for their prince or princess to walk off into the sunset and live happily ever after. And fairy tales do that. They end with, and they lived happily ever after, like there's no work involved in building a relationship. You find someone, and when you found them, that's it. See, fairy tales cause a lot of problems because they again overexpose us to something that is not real. We have this incorrect, actually harmful belief that you will meet your other half and they'll complete you. But you're not a half, you're a whole. And when you're a whole, you're not looking for someone to complete you, you're looking for someone to grow a relationship with. And here's the biggest problem of all, this belief that your other half will meet all your needs. Well, I'm here to tell you that simply is not true. Imagine you have needs, we all have needs. Your partner can probably meet a third of your needs very well. And another third, you need to meet them yourself. And the third, well, you might have to let them go. Imagine your need is to have a perfect home with white sofas and a white carpet and everything tied away. And you've got 3 kids who like to play football. Often you have to look at your need and think, well, you know, that need just isn't going to work. I need peace and calm. But I've got 2 babies under the age of 18 months old. Sometimes we just have completely unrealistic needs. And you have to ask yourself a question, what is more important, my need or my relationship? I need a tidy house. I love tidy. I love everything put away. Makes me feel great. I have a husband who doesn't even notice he's left all the cupboard doors open, all the kitchen cabinets open. He loves to cook. He's immensely messy. And I realize that his need is to enjoy cooking without me saying, oh, look, you got that on the floor. Why have you made so much mess? How come one tea bag has managed to stay in every surface? So I just had to give up my need to have a really tidy house and to recognize that having a happy marriage with a husband who loves cooking is actually a great gift. And in my relationship, I have to bring it back to, you know, what is more important here? Me and him, or my need for order and tidiness, and he has other needs, and I know that I don't meet some of his needs. He loves to go out every night. He's super social. I actually love to chill by sitting on the sofa and watching a movie, and I love watching things like Downton Abbey and Jane Austen, which just leave him cold. And he loves watching documentaries about the history of the world and all kinds of science stuff that I don't love either, but we work it out because I understand the third. He meets some of my needs fantastically well. I'm lucky to have him. I meet some of his needs amazingly well. He's very lucky to have me, but we both understand, okay, I have to give this need up. And we both understand that other needs I need to meet. So if I had a need to have a husband go to the gym with me, go shopping with me, that's not him. In my 33 years as a therapist, I have no doubt at all that my clients who are the unhappiest are the ones who are looking for perfect. I've got a list. I want someone who is perfect. I always smile and go, okay, let's imagine you found this perfect person. What you want, what do they want? If they are perfect, don't you think they also want perfect? I recently had a rock star's ex-wife in my office, and that had all gone wrong. She had a lot of money. She said, I need another rock star. but I want one 20 years younger than me. And I went, why? She said, well, I want to be with a rock star. I said, but where do you think that's going to go? You're 20 years older than him. Don't you think you're just delaying the inevitable of having a second marriage go wrong? Don't pick someone 20 to 25 years younger than you. Pick someone that you have shared interests with. Because when you look for perfect, first of all, it doesn't exist. You will never find Mr. or Mrs. Perfect. They don't exist. And in trying to find them, you'll be dissatisfied, you'll be sad, you'll be disappointed. You know what? You'll also be lonely. All of my clients trying to be perfect and find perfect are lonely and dissatisfied, and it's so unnecessary. All you have to do is understand, hey, I'm a flawed person. I can accept I have flaws, and I'm with people who are flawed. And if I was perfect, I'd be lonely, and my flaws make me real. They make me genuine. They make me authentic. And that's a wonderful thing. I always remember one of my clients saying, when I saw my wife, she was walking down the street and her thighs were rubbing together. It was the sexiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I'm like, wow, I wish every woman fighting for a thigh gap could have heard him say that was the sexiest thing. Another of my clients said, my wife was working out. She had sweat running down her back and all around her groin. It was so erotic. I was so attracted to this girl covered in sweat with wet hair. Who would have thought that? No makeup, working out, sweating, damp hair, red face. And yet to him, that was sexy. So please don't try to be perfect. There is no fairy tale. There's real life, and real life is amazing. You know the best thing when you know that someone loves you for you, when you're throwing up because you're sick, when you've got a cold and your eyes are red and your hair is matted, and they bring you coffee or tea and tell you they love you, then you know that's the fairy tale. Oh, you love me just the way I am, and I love you. And you'll be having a bad day, and I love you just as much, maybe even more, because your vulnerability makes me want to care for you. And I've worked with many, many models who feel, gosh, you know, I never want to disappoint someone. That isn't really me. Ava Gardner said, every man I meet thinks I'm Gilda. Sharon Stone said, every man thinks I'm Catherine from Basic Instinct. That isn't me. They are always disappointed. So many supermodels and movie stars tell me people are disappointed with me because they think I'm this role. It's not me. But imagine if you don't have to be perfect. You can be you and you're loved. Guess what you don't get? Disappointment. Guess what you don't worry about? You're disappointed in me. When you can be real, no one is disappointed in you, and that includes you. So remember, the key to a great relationship is how well the conversation goes back and forth, how good you are recognizing each other's needs and meeting as many as you can. The key to a great relationship is, do you respect and admire each other? Do you have sexual chemistry and best friend chemistry? Nothing in there says, hey, are you perfect for your partner? Because they don't even want that. I've worked with models who are left and their partners say, oh, it was like dating a racehorse. It was just so much work. And now my next partner is just real and warm and genuine, and I didn't even want all that drama. So remember, if your relationship now is not working, don't think, well, I better stay in it because I'm looking for the fairy tale. You can always make your relationship better or leave something that really doesn't work and find a better relationship when you stop looking for something that isn't real and become the real, lovable you, who can find someone that loves you because you're you and you love them because they're them. And then you build this beautiful, flawed relationship together, loving in each other, believing in each other, supporting each other, not having to worry about your thighs or your height or the number on your birth certificate, the number on the scale, the number in your clothing label, the number in your bank account. those don't matter. What matters is being a real person, finding real love based on being real, and then it will last forever because it's real. Check out my next video here. Play the only part we've ever known, and then you make that part your own way. You go, you know what? I think it's time for a new part. I was told I could never ever have children. My whole RTT training was based on being told I couldn't have a baby.